I went home and stayed up so I could call her and make sure she was safe when she landed. After 9 hours of drinking coffee to stay awake, I checked that her flight had landed and called her to make sure. The ringtone rang, but she didn't pick up. I tried a few more times, and even texted her about it, but still, there was no reply. Thinking she was tired and had gone to sleep at the hotel, I also tucked myself into the bed. But since I was still extremely worried about her well-being, I kept waking up and checking my phone for updates. In the morning, I noticed that she still hadn't called back or replied to my texts. After trying for a few more minutes, I called her sister to ask if she had talked to my wife. She hadn't, so I decided to call my wife's friends who were supposed to be on the trip with her. That might sound very invasive, but I genuinely thought it was an emergency. For the longest time, I have had a fear of my plane crashing into the water, and I didn't want my wife to go through that horrible fate. But when I called her friends, guess where they were at? They were 2 blocks away, having morning tea at a cafe. I thought it was a silly prank and I was being messed with. But no. My wife had truly disappeared, and abandoned me. I was distraught and completely went off the rail. I got really drunk and showed up at her parents' house, claiming that they were hiding them. My mother-in-law was really kind and understanding of my situation, however. She let me in her home and comforted me for days. I can't remember how many times I cried on her shoulder. Eventually, I accepted reality and began working on moving on. It took me a long time. Even with the support of my family and friends, I still missed my wife a lot. I kept thinking that she hadn't abandoned me, and maybe she had suffered a terrible fate and was waiting for me to rescue her. I had to go to therapy for 2 long years before I stopped having nightmares about her being lost in a forest. But I didn't give up and did in fact move on. I was going on golf trips with my friends again. Going to pubs with them and getting absolutely smashed. Joining the gym and finally working on my fitness level. I even got a promotion at my company. I thought that my life, which had stopped in time, was finally moving again, and I was happy. But of course, my wife had to ruin that as well. A little less than 4 years after she disappeared, I saw my wife standing at my door with a baby in her arms.